So, Ty, while we still have you for 3 or 4 minutes,
Sure.
when you look at the spring game, spring practice, whatever they called it there, the spring scrimmage for Arkansas, put
Yeah.
that together with everything else that happened in the spring. We reviewed quarterback and Malik Hornsby's situation. What else stands out to you? Maybe what got done in the last 4 weeks, or what do you think has changed? What do you got a better read on?
Well, so it's interesting. The defensive line had a really strong spring camp. And now I'm pretty sure I said that here before we had the scrimmage. Post scrimmage, that still looks to me to be the case. The defensive line stood out. Now, how much better are they going to be? Of course, we have no idea. Spring camp and a red-white or a scrimmage, you can hold 10 scrimmages. That doesn't tell you the whole story, right? You still got to do it against somebody else. Defensive line, I think, has made the biggest leap. Now, that was what we were told before spring camp, and that's what I was being told. That's what's out there. That's anyone writing anything is telling you that covers Arkansas sports. Yeah, defensive line had a pretty strong spring camp. But defensive line definitely looked the part post spring scrimmage. They looked the part. But the thing that stood out to me most was this Alabama transfer, former 5-star Sanders. Now, he is a special player, and I know Mark's already looking him up as I'm talking. You may already have his.
I know Drew Sanders.
Drew Sanders.
Yeah.
We knew that. I mean, look, you're getting an Alabama transfer. That's no joke. But he wasn't just an Alabama transfer. He was an Alabama starter until he got banged up. If you get a chance to watch that spring game, watch the defense. Watch him. I think he's wearing number 42, I think. 44, 42, somewhere in there. He's in on every play, Mark. He is flying to the football. He looks like he is cut out for this Barry Odom defense where they want to run, multiple fronts, 3, maybe 4, probably going to be 3 guys up front with 2 linebackers, a nickelback, roaming around in the area. A lot of speed. I felt like Arkansas's defense looked faster. The things that we were told during spring camp, you were seeing it. The speed's there, and Sanders was a big part of that. He could be special, Drew Sanders. Again, 5-star prospect out of high school. 247 says he's a 4-star transfer. I think he's going to be a big-time piece. Receivers drop balls. Not going to lie to you. That's a little – you don't want to see that in a scrimmage, but it was just a scrimmage. Let's hope that doesn't carry over. But I can tell you last year drop balls were a little bit of a problem. I hope that doesn't carry into to fall camp, and hopefully they get that situated. We didn't get a chance to see Landon Jackson, the 6'6", 6'7", 275-pound defensive end out of LSU. We didn't get to see him, but I'm curious where he's at in a few months, what we're reading about him come fall camp. He's someone to keep an eye on. Special talent, unanimous 4-star, highly rated 4-star prospect that chose LSU over a number of schools. Good to get him out of there. We saw a little bit of Jaden Hazelwood. Warren Thompson, the guy I've bragged about here every time I'm here, I think had a drop ball in the scrimmage. I think I may be jinxing him. I don't know. Every time it feels like I'm on here and I talk positively about the guy, he drops footballs and doesn't really do much beyond that. So I'm hoping again that doesn't carry over into the fall. But no, they look faster on defense. Defensive line was definitely getting some push. Offense didn't look as fluid as you would like, but again, it is only a scrimmage. You have to take it with a grain of salt. You don't get everything out of a scrimmage. In fact, you're lucky to really get much out of a scrimmage. But when you put it all together, I feel a lot better. When I mean all together, I mean spring camp and the scrimmage. I feel a little bit better about what's going on defense, but there's still some question marks.
I'm going to make my quick commentary on dropped passes because they drive me crazy as well. And I'm not talking about a play where a defensive back breaks the pass up, outfights the wide receiver. The wide receiver could have made a crazy catch. I'm not talking about dropping the ball when it's right there in the body frame. When you think about that, it's almost always a drive killer. You could have had an 8-yard completion or a 12-yard most of the time you can't recover from a blown play. You erase that play. That's 1 out of 3 you get before you got a punt. You typically can't overcome that, and you only get so many drives in a game. So dropped passes are a big deal.
It was an issue last year. It really was. Warren Thompson did have a game. I think it was UAPB where he dropped, I think on the stat sheet it would have said 3, but I thought I counted 4 drop balls. And I'm pretty sure 50% of those ended up on those drives. I want to say they ended up punting. Now luckily the opponent they were against, I mean, come on, it's University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. I mean, if you want my opinion, none of those drops should have even happened to begin with, but still should have resulted in something, considering the opponent. You should have been able to overcome those drop balls. But yeah, like you said, that's not just something that happened last year. That's something that happened the year before last as well. So it is something. It's not an ultimate issue with Arkansas's offense. I think there's some other areas, short down plays, third and 1 situations they got to get better at, and better third down completion ratio. They need to jump that number up quite a bit. But drop balls, I mean, like you said, they can be absolute drive killers, and that's something that cannot carry over into the fall camp. And I wouldn't circle it. If you're going to ask me the 3 biggest issues with the offense, I wouldn't say drop balls, but you don't want it to be a conversation piece though, like you and I are having. That is definitely not the thing you want. And that's what we're doing right now. We're talking about it. So before too long, I hope it's not something where I'm on this show or I'm on one of my lives or post-game show and I'm griping up about drop balls. So if that is something you're complaining about, that's a big issue, because like you said, they're very hard to overcome. They can be drive killers for sure.